and that airs every weekday. And then for the post show, you can join us right after the Endure stream, and we'll be right here. Eduardo, do you have any more details for us in terms of what we've got going today and going forward?
No, for sure. So one of the things is the holiday break's coming up. Some of you might have noticed the reindeer antlers Layla has. I've been wearing, also dressing up a little bit as well, because, we want to take stock of the year, what's been going on. So it's time to discuss the story so far. We're going to go back to the beginning, but the thing for all of you to understand is in the pre-show and poster, we're really going to look at the story so far. So we're going to go way back at the start. We're going to go through all the thematics we've gone. Right now on your screen, our production team's going to play the Pennsylvania opening scene, our first video, where Rachel performs the foundation initiation ritual on Joy, which results in Joy's death by the Entangler. And what we're going to do, audience, is we're going to go through kind of the story, what we've seen so far, the characters, so that when we go on the holiday break, you feel content. You're like, okay, I understood what's up. Of course, you'll enjoy the show as usual. No problem on that at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Now, funny story about this scene. When we were setting up the hosted show, which is our kind of internal name for, us, the host, being on air with you, we had to practice. We had to train. We had to prepare, as, good practice dictates. Now, the thing is, we've seen this scene. Layla, how many times roughly? I'm like 20 plus at least.
Man, Eduardo, I have the gift of gab, and towards the end, I started running out of new things to say about this scene, so probably about 20, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Layla, but as long I know you feel that you're out of new things to say about this scene, but let's be honest, we're gonna keep doing it because that's the thing, right? This scene was really how the experience opened. I believe it was kind of, for a lot of you in the audience, it was kind of your first look into Silent Hill Ascension outside of maybe one of the trailers. And the thing was, essentially, Joy dying was a huge catalyst for how the story opened in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, looking at this again after distance makes the heart grow fonder, Eduardo. So seeing this scene again after a little bit of time away, it does make me miss the MVP that was Joy. We didn't actually know Joy, right? For most of our time with her, we kind of knew the idea of Joy that was painted by whatever was going on with Toby. So we saw a much rougher version of the girl that we're seeing in this scene. But hey, she's the reason Toby got involved in all this foundation nonsense anyway, right? And we started with violence and we're continuing with violence. So it's a rough time for the folks of Pennsylvania, Eduardo.
No, for sure. And you're right? This is the only scene where we pretty much see Joy. Fundamentally, yes. We kept saying Toby's impression of Joy, but this is the only one where we see Joy. Like the actual character, and I mean, terrified, scared, doing a ritual that, I mean, just clearly goes wrong. And that's also
this is definitely as intended for Scherzies.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. We're rooting for the Entangler, right? We're rooting for the monsters. So, I mean, if you're rooting for the monsters, this definitely went as intended.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being, lightly facetious, but the quiet opening for us.
Oh no, yeah, definitely the string. Oh my gosh, just watching that. By the way, this is with sound off, but with the sound always got to me there. And the big thing is, we're gonna actually throw up kind of the summary of how that story opened up in Pennsylvania. Layla, if you can kind of recap again here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we just want to call out here that you may hear the voice of our good friend Noah, who helped us write these notes. So if you have a giggle during this section, think of her. But hey, the season opened up with a big twist of Joy's neck. And we met the mysterious Entangler, one of our most horrifying monsters this season. Rachel, distressed by the undesired outcome of the ritual, had to decide how to handle Joy's death. That was our big opening, Eduardo, and I think, even if she made a decision, she's still dealing with the repercussions of it.
Well, that's the big thing, right? We talk about Joy dying, but really what this is it's kind of Rachel's catalyst to the story, because, it sets the foundation, it sets the ritual, what's going on, but really this is what started Rachel's, our view and the audience's view into Rachel's character. And that was a big difference, right? It's not just, so to speak, a character died because it brings life into another one.
Yes, it certainly was a catalyst for as you said, is like our view of Rachel's story. So clearly, she's had a history, but Joy dying was really kind of the catalyst for everything going on now. And we thought, she thought Toby's death would be the catalyst for it ending, but she wasn't correct. And hey, we have a whole other locale, right? We can move on to Norway and see what's going on with the Johansons.
Right, time to move on to Norway in the beginning. So our production team is going to play the Norway opening scene, the second video, where Carl's going to discover that his wife has died and wrestles with how to break the news to his daughter. I mean, this was definitely... it wasn't quite the first scene, right? Like, we had Carl dealing with monsters just before, but like, essentially Carl finds Ingrid dead. But Ingrid died in a way that, like, I'd say, Joy's death, a little bit of sadness. As the weeks went on, I don't think Ingrid's death was seen with as much sadness as we went on.
I'm going to be real bold here, Eduardo, and I'm going to say no, it wasn't. It was not seen with a lot of sadness. The audience certainly decided that Astrid should fess up that she's a monster during her funeral. I think a lot of folks are aligned with that take. Ingrid is a tough character, right, to deal with, and we did see her die, but much like Joy, she is not done with the Johansson family, right? She keeps coming back. We keep seeing Astrid's and Carl's impressions of her, or whatever those manifestations are, and it's unpleasant. She did say stab mommy in the eye, so.
Yeah, well, the funny part is when Joy kind of died and Toby saw her, we kind of knew, like, the character was completely separate, right? Like, that didn't feel like the sister, so to speak. Here, I mean, probably stabbed mommy in the eye, not quite what she'd say alive, but like, it was a lot closer to the character alive.
It was it was in the spirit of Ingrid, right? I know there's actually, and you might be more helpful with this than I would be, I think there's a French saying that captures the emotion I'm trying to go for.
How would it be? I'm trying to think. There's a lot of really great French sayings, but...
There are. We steal a lot of them.
I mean, yeah, we'll figure it out. But, like, one of the big things here, by the way, is, this week, by the way, in content, a lot of you might be familiar with, kind of Astrid starting to get excused with Morrison. But let's go back to Ingrid, right? I mean, Carl was the original person everybody was going after, right? Carl was the caretaker. There was the needle on the floor. Like, Ingrid's body was found by Carl. The needle was there by Carl. So the question was, Astrid was wondering whether the father was responsible, for her mother's death. And she was like questioning, well, I've been taking care of my work and my son. So that got her away from her son and into her mother. But, like, by the time it was too late.
Right. And now we have this added element of seeing that good old Aunt Mette, for some reason, had some morphine on her, right? We saw that in a struggle. So there's a lot of pieces, a lot of moving parts to this puzzle, and for right now, no solution. So,
yeah. So the thing is, right, we're gonna have that come up on screen, right? How the story opened in Norway. Layla's gonna do, as usual, the pleasure of reading that for all of you at home.
Absolutely. And once again, thank you, Noah, very much for this homage in the cards. We entered the sad, wet world of old man Carl and his newly deceased monstrous wife, Ingrid. Astrid, Carl, and Ingrid's daughter Astrid, Carl, and Ingrid's daughter, I know how to read a sentence, finds Ingrid's body in the bedroom along with a suspicious syringe. Astrid questions whether or not her father was responsible for her mother's death. So a lot of the stuff we just alluded to, or actually just spoke plainly about, Eduardo, coated in a layer of a fun murder mystery, and by fun I mean no one gets a break.
No, for sure. I mean, and the thing, right, as well, was later on, Ingrid's body went missing as well. There was a lot of drama around that, right? We didn't know it was morphine, figured that out. Ingrid's body went missing, came back, seemed like the body was desecrated in some way. But even after all that, Astrid's like, yeah, she was a monster. Like, it's quite the simple, like, there was a sense of it being quite... strong. Like, there was an aversion, right, to this character of Ingrid, and that's how the Norway story was. It wasn't like quite as dramatic a death, but it was clearly a very cathartic one. Now, I spoke of death. We have to move on to Toby. Now we're gonna play a key scene from Toby. This is the third video we have for you tonight. The scene you've all seen. One of the ones where Toby is continuing to try to leave town when Joy appears to make him have second thoughts about Rachel's recruitment effort. This scene, by the way, maybe not the most harrowing. I think seeing Joy in the forest was, for me, like, that was like the introduction to Toby where he punches Eric, rightfully so. Absolutely rightfully so, for giving him that shitty pamphlet when his sister's dead. Correct. But then, in the forest where he has to kind of deal with Joy. Now, this one for me was more marking because that was a very big thing. This is the first time I remember where Joy changed Toby, and that's really important.
Yeah, we got actually a chat highlight from Ete, which says justice for Toby. And that's what I was going to say. Stole the words right out of my mouth. I agree. I think, while I agree that, the scene with Joy in the forest was more harrowing, this for me has a certain futility, like a damp je ne sais quoi that I really loved about the Toby arc, where he's trying to leave and he can't because he's just keeps showing back up at the Foundation, and this spirit or this manifestation or appearance of Joy just won't let him go. And it ultimately results in his death. So for me, my personal favorite tragedies to observe are the ones about futility. So I quite like this scene. It has a special place in my shriveled little heart.
Yeah, and what I liked the most about that scene was that very ending with Krista at the doorstep.
Yes, Krista loves to pop up in an ending. She is a stunt queen. She loves to make an entrance. She loves to make an exit. She loves to make a little flirtation. I'm a big fan.
No, for sure. And I mean, we're seeing now Krista with Eric. That's a foreshadowing for the next section, so to speak. But one of the things with Toby is, we'll talk about as well with the audience choices, but that was the big thing, was that very last moment between kind of him attacking Rachel in the damnation option and sacrificing himself was so close. Like, I know the development team we were actually on the edge of our seats because, we have to prepare everything. We have to make sure it's ready, but we didn't know what you, the audience, would eventually have winning because it was so close. And obviously, eventually, Toby sacrificed himself. And by the way, for you, the audience members at home who didn't have the chance to check out the interview with Agustin, who was kind of one of our cinematic directors, we got to show during that interview a key scene where Toby got to escape, basically saw Joy. The scene was very short. It was 15, 20 seconds. But to paint you the picture, we saw Toby see Joy. Joy told him to go, and he just left into the fog. And that was it. So that was what could have happened. It's not, though, what happened. Because what happened is going to show up on your screen. Layla's going to recap this for you.
Oh, boy howdy, would I love to. And we have a handy graphic. So Toby's story. Toby, the town fuck-up, as his sister's ghost called him, could just not catch a break all season. Plagued by visions of his dead sister Joy, Toby struggled to decide how to react to her death. Eventually, deciding to sacrifice himself for the withering to end, we said goodbye to our beloved friend Toby. I took this very hard. Noah took this very hard. Eduardo just tipped his cap. Toby has been, through all the iterations of the script, like knowing the character of Toby and knowing all the ways his story was before we, settled on a final path. I really loved that character, and I was quite sad to see him in a very earnest way. Quite sad to see him go. So, R.I.P. to a king.
For sure. And the thing is, like, on behalf of the development team, I know that, like, for a lot of our staff, Toby was definitely one of the most hallmark characters, beloved by our staff, and I know beloved by many of you, the audience. So I hope you had at least joy in discovering the character and in living through that story, even though Toby, again, is dead and has the hope. Now, we're going to move on to the Foundation because that was a key part in Toby's story. Now, we're going to see Toby again in this scene. But again, the Foundation, other characters, Eric, Krista, Xavier, and kind of a lot of you actually from the audience. The Foundation seems to have a lot of cameo appearances from the audience. So our production team's going to play that on screen for you. That's our fourth video, the Foundation scene. Fourth video. Toby, Rachel, and members of the Foundation see indisputable proof that the Withering is spreading in Hope's Junction. And Layla, the Withering here is key because everywhere else, we see monsters, they don't know what's going on. the Foundation is the one organization who's capable of naming the thing.
Or at least, they feel like they have the authority to name the thing. There's a lot of, in the starting of a organization, a lot of presumption, right? A lot of presumption that you are the authority, that you are the only thing that could possibly stop this, this calamity. And part of that presumption feeds a lot of egos, and those egos have resulted in the death of our beloved, Toby. It's wild to watch, and when you think about the, not to bring up kind of the meta of this show, but you brought it up yourself, right? We have made the audience complicit in this because they get drawn to be members of this organization, and it's certainly a place to be.
One big happy family. Now, the thing with every family is you need leaders. Apparently, I'm gonna go with that. So the thing is, at the start of our show, you got to see the elders being referred to quite a bit. We don't actually see them, frankly, but they are referred to a lot. Later on, as kind of shit hits the fan and monsters appear everywhere and the Wyvering is taking place, we have essentially Xavier. It goes right back to it, because while Xavier's the leader here, Krista and Rachel kind of essentially have a leadership battle going on, and that was a key of the last couple of scenes.
Like, hey Krista, you're my girl, don't trust that, to paraphrase Mean Girls, don't trust that fugly skank Rachel, right? Like, it was very Regina George of him, and I respect that. not in a real way, but I just love mess, me and Marie Kondo.
No, for sure. And again, now we're at the Xavier being catatonic stage, but I did want to shout out from our chat, Token All Night, because thanks for the cameo Thanks for the cameo system. I had a speaking role yesterday. Well, we hope you enjoy your little bit of immortality, and you get to rewatch that scene with you in it. So we hope you do enjoy that. Congrats again. But again, you, the audience, can be part of that by taking part in the cameo contest. Now, what we're going to do as well here is we're going to quickly have on screen appear kind of that summary of the Foundation, because the show's going to be really soon. So Layla's going to read that out for us quickly as our production team puts it on screen, and then we're going to let you enjoy the show.
Absolutely. So the Foundation it names the Withering. It is also a structured organization with leadership conflicts amongst the elders, and also Rachel and Krista, and rituals that just keep going wrong. Or if you like, death and dismemberment, so right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen one of their rituals go the way they wanted it to. But again, we're barely a minute from our show. So the thing is, it's time for the show. In the post-show, we'll discuss Astrid and Orson, the Norway crew, Rachel and Faith, as well as some of the absolute highlights of audience choices that you've all made. But the thing is, we're going to be back in the post-show to discuss it. It'll be Layla and myself. Now, in the meantime, the show exclusive content, brand new, that you're going to get to watch live. You'll get the endurance scene after, and then after that, the post-show. So Eduardo and Layla, we're signing off for now, but we'll see you right after. Take care.
So this one is free, but it's the last one I have, I'm afraid.
Okay. We're so backed up with bodies, we'll take what we can get. Thanks, Astrid.
Of course. They're losing so many patients upstairs. Are they any closer to figuring out what's causing all of this?
Not yet. So many bodies. They better figure it out fast.
Hopefully I can help with that.
So many bodies. What's there to do? But you know what to do with a dead body, don't you? You're a killer. You've always been a killer. Just tell them. Tell them what you did to Orson. Death follows you everywhere, Angel. Everything you touch dies. Everyone you love. Even your own son.
Mama! What are you doing with that knife? No! You're hurting me, Mama!
Deep in your heart, you know it's true. You just can't remember. What did you do to Orson? Huh? How could you hurt your own boy? You're a monster!
I'm not! I didn't hurt my son!
Astrid? Astrid! Are you all right? I just came to tell you that they're sending another body down in an hour.
Thank you. I'll be here. Oh God. What did I do?
Damn it. Xavier, have you seen Faith? Please. My daughter is out there and I'm out of options. If you can hear me, please say something. I've seen horrors too. And I'm telling you, you can beat this. But you have to snap out of it fast. When I was a boy, I watched my mother die in front of me. She sacrificed herself so I could come to this country safely. I carried the guilt of her death with me until I couldn't go on anymore. But then I remembered what she wanted for me, what she gave up, and I fought back until I found myself again. Fight back, Xavier. I know you can find yourself too. Damn it, Xavier! They're coming! The Foundation needs you, Xavier. We all do. We put our faith in you and we all need you to lead us. Please don't fail us. Not now. Come on, wake up! Xavier! What happened? You saved me.
Xavier? Eric? Oh my God, are you okay?
I'm fine.
Are you sure? Xavier, how did...
Eric. He healed me. He brought me back.
I'm so relieved.
Thank you, Krista. I know how difficult it must have been to take charge and protect our community in my absence, as I asked. And thank you, Rachel, for supporting her.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. Of course.
I'm proud of you both, but especially you, Rachel. Perhaps one day you too will be ready to lead our community. Now, if you all don't mind, I'd like a word with Eric. Alone. Thank you for what you did for me back there.
It was nothing, really.
It's not nothing, Eric. I was lost. Trapped in my darkness. If you hadn't helped me, I never would have found a way out. You have a gift, Eric. You're a healer. And we need people like you here.
Thank you.
I think you're going to play a significant role in the Foundation and stopping the withering. I just need to know if you're truly committed to the cause.
Of course I am.
Are you, though? I know you originally joined because of Rachel. Why are you here now, Eric? Whose side are you really on?
I don't know.
Eric, I can help save your daughter. But in order to find Faith, I need to know that you support me completely. What's it going to be?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Silent Hill Ascension post show. This is Eduardo. I'm with Layla, and Layla, we got to see kind of some interesting scenes there for sure.
Yeah, Eric got a little moment, right? He pulled Xavier out of his catatonic state while he was wandering kind of in the other world, being, if I may, melodramatic. He was trying to be a poet. Go, Eric. Honestly, I'm so glad to see him put some passion into something. It was good to watch.
No, yeah, one of the thematics actually from the kind of, we didn't really allude to Eric much in our recap of the Foundation, but one of the key parts for me is, once Toby was gone, Eric really came into his own and kind of became his own person, right? I mean, a lot of drama existed with Krista, and then there we saw him like essentially interact with Xavier because Krista and Rachel were busy with other stuff. So Eric had to dive in and did so. Now, I'm a little apprehensive of Xavier going like, "Oh, Eric, who are you? Where is your allegiance actually with?" I'm like, okay, well, that can't be good.
No, I'll tell you, anybody ever asks me who my loyalties lie with, the answer is not you. You ask me that question, it immediately becomes not you.
No, for sure. Just speaking of, loyalties.
Speaking of loyalties, is that your transition for talk about a mother-son relationship?
Well, mother-daughter, son, horror show, whatever it is. One of the decisions, right, with Orson earlier on was whether the hunter doll or the scientist doll, right?
Absolutely.
But it was not the grandma doll. The community was like, no way, we're giving that child a grandma doll.
No, community said, screw that grandma doll. It was pretty close, if I remember correctly, between scientist and hunter. Now he's got Astrid has his hunter doll now because the boy is missing, but it is his doll, so.
Yeah, and that's really one of the big things is we're actually going to take the opportunity, right, to talk about Astrid and Orson. We're coming back. So again, in this post show, our goal here is to kind of recap the story so far to make sure that as we go into the holiday break, all of you are familiar with what's been going on, can go kind of relax, spend time with your families and remember kind of what's been going on. But again, in that scene, Ingrid makes another horrific appearance. At this point, every time I see Ingrid, I'm like, this is no good. Anyways, now, Astrid and Orson. That's going to be our 5th video for the night. Is going to play in our background. And in this one, we talked about the doll, right? It's in an effort to connect with her son. Astrid gives Orson a new doll. We did allude to how close that decision was. Layla is right. It was within 1% or less. But essentially, now one of the things is, I don't know how good parenting it is. I mean, I think it's good parenting when things have been tough to give your child a meaningful gift that they can keep. That's nice. I'm not convinced about the parenting side when Orson has already bit another child and shows slightly prone to like physical-ish style violence. Because, as soon as that doll goes into his hands, he starts going bang, bang. Well, not really maybe the direction you want to go down.
but I think I've said it before, and I stand by my words. That if you're a child and you need to do something about it, that your chompers are they could be a valid exit strategy out of a situation. I do agree though, poor Astrid, right? Like, what do you do in your situation? Your mother just passed. You didn't like her very much in the first place. Your father, not particularly useful, and as we know now, a little bit preoccupied with some pixie cut distractions, even when his grandson is missing. So all you have is yourself and your little boy, right? We haven't heard mention of the father, and she's trying her best. Is her best good enough? I don't know. But she's making an attempt, and I appreciate the craftsmanship, right? She made that little outfit herself, and pretty good fit. It looks tailored, looks crisp.
That is nice. You're right. Actually, we know Eric is Faith's father, but we don't actually know who Orson's father is, I believe. I might be wrong on this, but not a character we see often. And Carl has to kind of stand in, right? Like the granddad taking care of the son as well. And it's true that like Carl is generally a little bit absent during a lot of those first weeks. But one of the things with Carl is he does love his grandson.
Yes, or at least he. Not to get too philosophical and too real on our comedy post show here, but I believe love is action, and I've heard a lot of words, but I haven't seen a lot of action from Carl. So.
No, you're right. Orson does a lot more on the action front. He's much more, as you say, he's teeth forward, making sure to put his mark. Unfortunately, maybe in somebody who doesn't deserve it. It's kind of funny because only Astrid kind of sees Ingrid, but it would be kind of funny to see that dynamic, of the child kind of protecting the mother, so to speak, against the. I'd like to have a qualifier, but like demon from hell style.
No, Eduardo, listen, I'm going to stop you right here because off air, you and I have a new television pitch brewing about a boy who bites ghosts. I think you and I can carry that into an offline conversation, as we say in the industry.
Yes, for sure. But to make sure that you, the audience at home, do not have more to bite than you can chew, we're going to have on screen a recap of Astrid and Orson, as Layla can't possibly take the weight of this transition, as we can't wait to have time with our families and resting. Now, that's going to be on screen. And Layla, if you could please read that for a delightful audience at home, no matter where you are around the world. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with us.
Absolutely. We're so happy to have everyone here. Yes. Orson, Astrid's little boy, seems to struggle with some behavioral issues. Famously, he bit another boy at school. Astrid was blaming Carl for Orson's bad behavior, but as time went on, it became clear that Carl is not the cause of whatever it is going on with Orson, who is currently still missing. So a lot of drama in the Johansson family, and I say this a lot, Eduardo, but not a lot of answers for the great deal of mystery. I feel like, in Pennsylvania, with the foundation, there's not necessarily answers, but there's at least a pretense of looking for them, right? There's a pretense of authority. But in Norway, you don't have that. You have police involved, but I wouldn't say Haugen is an authority on what's going on. If anything, she's being a little bit antagonistic. So there's this absence of structure, and that forces Astrid to take the brunt of dealing with this situation herself, which I think is why it makes her so sympathetic to me, personally speaking, anyway.
No, that's totally fair. Like Astrid basically feels on her own right finding Orson. And by the way, when you're talking about Haugen being authority, I think Haugen is I don't even think the qualifier of useful is relevant in that case. But, you're talking about Haugen. Let's talk about our other characters in Norway, because our production team is going to throw that 6 video on air. I mean, we've alluded to it a lot. It's one of our favorite moments. Carl and Mette. Now, Carl makes his choice on what to do with Mette's advances. But in this scene, Astrid arrives in need of some support and, asks the very legitimate question, what the fuck is going on?
Eduardo, I'm so sorry. We just got a chat highlight that made me laugh really hard. Drew says, Orson's not dead. He's just pining for the fjords. And man, he's not the only one pining, right? Because as you said, Astrid really came in the middle of some pining to interrupt it, and it rightfully asked, what the fuck is going on, as you so emphatically quoted. But how do I put this, Eduardo? Some passions burn hotter than whatever flaming monster is haunting this family, and it seems like the passion between Carl and Mette is one of those.
No, that's the thing, right? Carl needs some good time. He needs to he's a bit catatonic about the whole affair. Mette is there to help. She did offer help with the funeral, but that's not where the help ended up being. So now the thing with all of that though is Astrid is really the one really dealing kind of with the brunt of Orson, with the brunt of Ingrid just coming to just be horrible again. But one of the key characters as well, outside of kind of we love the relationship, by the way, here on the hosted show between Carl and Mette, the scandal is great. And we know that you, the audience, enjoy let's put it this way, I wish I had a better quip. Let's just say that you enjoyed, because this kind of thing is just hilarious. Anyways, now the thing with essentially here, Astrid is there is another character, right? Well, there's two. Britt was essentially the last Johansson member that we've seen so far, right? And that relationship with Astrid on last week has developed a ton. If you haven't had a chance to actually check some of the scenes the last few days between Astrid and Britt, I don't know how much I want to describe it, because I think it's worth actually you watching them. Take the time to watch those scenes again, because that relationship really develops quite strongly.
Yes, Britt comes onto the scene and seizes the day, as it were. Even in some ways unintentionally, right? Because we saw whatever is nagging Astrid, we kind of saw it manifest in that spooky phone call where Britt, or at least Britt's voice, called her and accused her of more than one ethereal thing is currently accusing her of harming her son, but did so, and it seemed like that was the thing that bothered Astrid much more than her mother, accusing her of doing as such, because I would figure Britt's opinion matters more to her, because from what we've seen, Britt has had to distance herself by circumstance, but she's not an asshole.
No, that's very key. She's starting to put support with Carl. She's putting support with Astrid. Very key differences. One last character, by the way, we talked about Hogan. I'm not going to go too deep into that. I think one of the things with Hogan is she just seems more like a catalyst, making things moving forward. But there was a character where the phrase "what the fuck is going on" comes back to mind, which is Eva. I'm not going to describe or talk about Eva much. There was just a really key scene with a certain forager, and there is only one question: what the fuck was that?
Would you say that the forager was in a jam, Eduardo?
All right, on that note, that's our story for the other characters in Norway. That's going to go up on screen. Layla's going to take a moment to recap what we've kind of seen.
Absolutely. So with Ingrid out of the picture, Carl and Mette, Ingrid's sister, get hot and heavy. Britt, Astrid's recovering addict sister, shows up to help the search for Orson, and Carl wants to institutionalize Astrid, even though he too experienced the other world. Yeah, quite rude there to say, hey, I'm going to protect us from these monsters, but you, Astrid, who is rightfully searching for your son, needed intervention. Ow.
Yeah, Carl's like, oh, she's crazy. And can see the monsters. He can see the literal monsters. What the hell? Seriously, what is up with Carl? Come on. You can probably communicate with your daughter, but Carl is no good at communicating anything meaningful, but the comfort that somebody else is giving. Anyways, or, having a gun. Those are the ways to communicate from Carl. Not the grandiose communicator, not the fantastic orator that we were hoping for, but certainly a character to keep an eye on. Now,
what a twist it would be if Carl out of nowhere, whipped out a Macbeth monologue or something. Maybe he's hiding a little of that.
It's been 20 years, Layla. I can't quote Macbeth. It's been 20 years since I've had to. You could argue my culture is not up to date, but To be fair, that is an excellent quote, Macbeth. One of the great works of there. Now, that said, we're going to move back, I guess, into English in Pennsylvania. And the other relationship, that is a lot more strained, by the way. Like, I think Orson and Astrid was a relationship that at least came from some degree of, there's a closeness. You can see that, you saw that scene where Astrid and Orson were together and they were clearly close. Rachel and Faith, now that's messed up. Now we're gonna have that video play. That's our 7th video. The video
It's an honor to be a needle bearer,
Rachel's
Eric, especially at her age. If you applied yourself more, you'd know that.
But this whole scene is
I just don't think this is the best thing for Faith right now.
Yeah.
She's already scared, and sometimes the foundation is, well, scary.
Adults,
Listen,
Eduardo,
you know
you
I'll
and I
support you
have
no matter
been
what,
around the
No
sun a
buts.
couple of times.
My word
I would
is final
say.
on this, Eric.
As adults, we are open to make certain decisions, and if those decisions are mistakes or we have regrets about those decisions, that's okay, because we hopefully made them from an informed place, and we can deal with the consequences of our choices. When you are 6 and your mother, who you trust, wants you to be involved in the induction of someone who is basically your uncle in a cult, that's a little bit less forgivable.
Yeah, and I mean, lack of patience is reasonable in a 6-year-old. By the way, I just want to pause here because we're about to come to that key scene where Rachel's confronting her 6-year-old child, and here it comes. We know it's coming. You know it's coming. Damn it, where's the... Did I miss it?
No, you...
Oh, I
You
missed the
missed
slap.
it.
No, okay. No, sorry. Audience, you should have caught me. No. Okay, now we get the creepy child in the basement. It's fine. There we go. Mandy W41 free slap. I know somebody, by the way, in chat earlier, like, we saw your compliment as well. Thank you. But like, yeah, slap. That was the key there. I mean, also again, the creepy child in the basement, the classic horror trope. I love it.
It's a fun inversion of my fear as a child, which was creepy things in the basement that would come at me while I was that little. But now Faith has given us a little bit of a role reversal. Cyclops B411 says, "Can we get a slap cam?" We'll pitch it. We love melodrama here on the Hosted Show, so it's something we wouldn't pitch.
Yeah, that's true. We've been very much about the hot and heavy melodrama, right? Like with Eric and Krista, but like we've not been about like the slap melodrama. We had the Toby punch with Eric. That was great. No, those are the type of things, that like I remember a lot. Actually, again, that interview with Agustin, like on the cinematics, he was like talking about how difficult the whole animation was on punching, and Noah and Agustin, one of our cinematic directors, was like really describing the whole process. But again, the big thing with Rachel and Faith here is that relationship is strained. Like Faith is missing, but like. For me, when Orson's missing, it's kind of like he kind of just vanished. It was a bit weird, right? It was at the funeral. He kind of just disappeared. Faith feels like there might have been, a better incentive to go.
Yeah, Faith was more of the wandering off variety, right? Where it was like, Orson vanished at the funeral, which is a pretty grim place to vanish. Faith's mom turned around for about 0.7 seconds. When she turned back around, the kid was not anywhere in that building. And listen, we've discussed my love for a good Pennsylvania brownstone, lots of good nooks, lots of good crannies in which to hide in a nice old northeastern building. But she was nowhere to be found. And now, she was supposed to be with Xavier. She wasn't with Xavier. They have one less adult to search for her, Barbara.
We had an audience member eaten by a dog.
Yes. That also.
So Layla, it's really weird. I'm surprised Faith wasn't behind the glowing red door with the creeping insectoids. It's really strange, right? You would have thought she's behind there.
Rachel very often, but I also, if I had heard that, would not have opened that door with all the facts that she has in hand. Those were some spooky noises. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. And one of the big things between Rachel and Faith is there's basically zero communication. Rachel and Eric, strained relationship. Rachel and Faith, strained relationship. That's going to be on screen for you. Sorry, it's impossible for me to avoid this type of thing. But Layla's going to read, as I sneeze to death, you might see Noah's handiwork on this graph that's about to pop up. See if you can spot it. Our production team's going to put that on. I really hope we can see it. I know sometimes with our fonts it might be... there. We got Noah's touch. So Layla, I'll let you read through that.
Oh boy, okay, so Rachel and Faith's relationship is defined and strained by Rachel's commitment to the Foundation. Just before going missing, Faith slapped Rachel and started acting all bratty. With Faith missing and Krista taking over everything she cares about, Rachel is at her wits' end. If I've ever heard a Noah, I heard it in this in this graphic.
No, for sure. Like, that was definitely her there. So that's the thing is, by the way, we love the people working with us. And I'll get a chance as well to talk about that on Monday a bit more about like kind of some of the developers that are behind. Because we, Lila, myself, and Noah appear on camera, but there's other people behind the screen that we do want to highlight and make sure that you all see it. But again, Case Wheelie going, will there be more slapping occurring in the future? I don't know, because that's up to you to decide. Now we're going to talk about key audience decisions. Look at those segues. Now, that's going to appear on screen for you. Our highlights for the audience choices so far. Layla's going to read through these, and then we're going to have some fun poking at what you, the audience at home, have decided. None of these are our choices. These are yours.
Oh, absolutely. I am so ready. Carl and Mete's makeout sesh. How will Carl respond to Mete kissing him? You chose kiss her back. Then, how will Astrid react to her dead mother talking to her? You chose demand an apology. This was a fate decision when you chose suffering. And what will Toby do for the severing ritual? You chose sacrifice himself, which was the redemption option. Again, rip to a king.
No, rest in pieces, Toby. Rest in peace as well, but unfortunately, probably in pieces. So the thing with Toby is that decision was unbelievably close. Super, super tight. It could have been as well attacking Rachel. That was like a really tight decision. So again, these choices were also super close. The one with Carl and Mete, that was one that like until the very end didn't really pull through. At the end, lovers kind of pulled through. It was between lovers and nothing. Now, the one with how Astrid reacts to the dead mother wasn't the closest decision. It was a little bit of a pull-off. What I particularly adore about that choice is Astrid, in general, from you, the audience, has been on relatively the redemption path. There was one damnation choice, but you essentially went, the mom is there. She deserves to hear the shit. She's been putting Astrid through the ringer. She's not stopping haunting her life. Astrid deserves to push back. I just love so much this choice. You're all, at home, you know what the outcome is where you're like, oh, this is good for Astrid, but you're like, you know what? We got some space here. You're like, we got this budget of like redemption, but we got some space here for Astrid to tell her mother what's up. I love it, Leila. I love it. Everything about that choice. My favorite of the season, honestly.
Yeah, this is like the most impassioned I've ever seen you about anything, and we spend a lot of time together throughout the workday. So yeah, I agree with you. It felt very cathartic. I feel like everyone at least once has been wronged and wants, at least wants to give that like big dramatic speech to tell that person off. And would it have been more satisfying if Ingrid was alive and actually got to hear it? Perhaps, but it was nice enough for her to do it in front of, her immediate family and to kind of make her stance clear on the situation. So go Astrid, girl boss. I support it. It's a big bold move, and we love big bold moves.
Yeah, no, for sure. And by the way, in the chat, they're talking about the soundtrack. We're delighted that you love it. You get to hear it. Also, the guitar mindfulness puzzle is definitely a place for you to enjoy that stuff. So by the way, as well with the audience choices, just to kind of spend a little bit of time on what's been going on, right? At the start, it was very redemption. Then you were between redemption and damnation. A little bit in the middle, starting in the third week, the fourth week, you started going for the options that seemed the most fun. That's where the Astrid choice came from. But one of the funny things I found as we advanced the weeks in time, not this last week, but like one before, a lot of the funnest choices were redemption. It was basically like, I remember it was like at the funeral singing that Astrid got to say that Ingrid's the monster. That was redemption. You had Eric was respecting Toby's last wishes, and everybody wanted justice for Toby. So like Eric telling the bar go fuck yourselves as the redemption option, I mean, it was perfect. Like, that's the best option. I'm sorry. There's no way you can't choose that. So like, I do like, we you know, us in the development team, we have, I'll be honest, it's not universal. Some of our developers love your choices, others less. I'm gonna be honest, some developers in our team are like, I would really have liked to see something else. But that's part of the fun, is it's you, the audience, who's choosing. It's part of the experience. It's very important that you at home are the ones saying what you want it to be, so that it is your experience. We, Lila and myself represent a whole development team that went and put love and care to make sure that you had an experience that could be yours, that you could sculpt, that you could structure, that you could sway where things were going. So we hope that you do enjoy that. And those audience choices, we're coming into the holiday break, we look back, but rest assured, decisions will keep being there. It's a key part of the experience. We hope you keep enjoying this. And to quote a really important thing before we move on, Spank Muffin and only they just had jam. I don't know why I did that. It's just because,
Squonk Muffin.
Oh my God. I've been watching too much Carl and Nete, or wait a second. Anyways, I gotta get out of here.
Just to back up what Eduardo so earnestly said before that Freudian slip. Absolutely. Like, thank you all so much for joining us for this experimental new thing. We really appreciate all the feedback. We really appreciate having the audience. And honestly, I'm so glad Chad is back. It's been a delight seeing the highlights. I know we can't answer all of them, but we are seeing a lot of them. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. It's been such a great time to have you join us.
No, for sure. But Leila, it's, now we're going to talk about the things that are going to end our show. So look, all of you at home, I hope you had a great time listening to us recapping the story. We hope you had a delight revisiting, the hallmark events of the last couple of weeks as we go into the holiday break. So for Leila, this is actually her last show for this year. She'll be back in the new year, of course. But for 2023, that's kind of it. So as Noah, she's going to bow out. One of the things actually our development team wanted to forward to you, you might have spotted this during the Endure scene, but we gave to all of you a few additional options. So your avatar could be dressed a bit differently if you wanted to give a variety to kind of your cameo appearances. That's available for you. Now, we understand a lot of you kind of like want to go for the bearded lady look. Don't worry, you can keep doing that. It's part of the fun. But again, you get to essentially get a little bit more variety in how your avatar looks. So after this show is done, have a little look. Some of you during the Endure scene, again, to come back to that, might have seen the pet the dog sign, which I vehemently disagree with, given that dog in question has, eaten someone. But, by the way, we're seeing some of the chat highlights. We'll just put this one from Chirasukro13. Have a wonderful holiday break. They love the community because we love you as well. It's not just, all of us, Leila, myself, I know Noah, I know the people behind the screen here. We all love your presence. Thank you so much for listening. Now, here's the thing. It was Leila's last show of 2023, but we got one more, Monday. Now, Noah's not going to be there. Leila's not going to be there. I will be there. Now, I don't like going on my own. I like having a guest. It's part of the companionship. That's, I like having people come into the home. I love having people aboard. That's a joke for somebody. Now, that said, here's the thing. We need a guest. But Noah's not available. Leila's not available. I want them to spend time, relax, be great at energy, because I know that a lot of you enjoy their presence, but they need the rest and relaxation to have that energy. So I needed a guest. So I was wondering, who should we have? And, as we recap the story, part of me was like, we could go back to the beginning, but maybe do it a little bit less in a harrowing fashion. So this is going to be on your screen, but basically on Monday. Now, this is going to be in the pre-show, so don't tune in late. But 5:40 p.m. Pacific, 8:40 p.m. Eastern, on Monday, 18th of December, I will be having Jacob Navok back on screen. For lack of better judgment, he will be back. And we will discuss the year so far. We'll discuss some of the things coming in 2024. You won't want to miss it, if anything, because I'm going to be on screen with and I hope that's enough of a way to convince you. Now, we're also going to...
I was just going to say, listen, we do see some of the memes. I do expect more live Eduardo reactions because they go right into my work meme folder and then I use them at Eduardo.
Yeah, that's important. Well, not next week, you're off. But that said, after that, we got the show. So that'll be the final show of 2023. That'll be, as usual, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. You'll get to enjoy that. We're going to let you enjoy that cold. Once that is done, I will come back, most likely alone. It will be a very short post-show. What I'll do is I'll essentially explain the details of the holiday break. It won't last too long. So essentially, you get to have the last scene fresh in your minds. I don't want to remove that from you. I think that last scene is something you'll enjoy. So what we'll do is I will let you enjoy that. I'll come back on air. I'll explain what the holiday break is, and then thank the team, and we'll bid farewell until next year. Now, all that said, Layla, it was an absolute delight to do this last show with you. I hope you all in the audience had a great time with us tonight, or morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are around the world. I hope you had a delight. And Layla, any parting words?
Just wanted to say thank you to you. Thank you to Noah. I hope it shows, but we are all actually very much friends at work. So doing these shows in the evening is a delight for all of us. And thank you very much to our production crew. There's a handful of wonderful Genvid developers that has worked super hard to make sure that these shows are a good experience and are streamlined on the back end and help us troubleshoot all sorts of stuff, and also provide much needed moral support in private. And thank you to the Ascension team. From folks at Genvid to our partner teams. It truly would not have been possible without the cooperation of a lot of incredible, talented, hardworking people who it has been like a genuine pleasure to know and work beside. So thank you all so much. I'm looking forward to a break and looking forward to being energized and looking forward to watching the show as an audience member on Monday to see, see things wrap out, and I will see you all in 2024.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Layla. So again, it's time to sign off. So for this show on Monday, I'm going to sign off on behalf of our more extended group. Again, not last show of the year. Do tune in Monday. I would love to see you all. Again, don't arrive late. Jacob will probably not be in the post show if I can help it. So he'll be in the pre-show though, 5:40 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. 8:40 p.m. Eastern. Every weekday. We hope you've had a wonderful time tonight, but it's time to say goodbye. Have a great weekend. I will see you on Monday, hopefully, but if not, rain, shine, or fog will appear. Take care.